If there's an attachment problem, for example, if there's really never been an attachment between that child and that parent, they will oftentimes not be interested, and it'll take some careful sort of gradual therapeutic contact to be able to make that happen, which is the right thing to do. However, interestingly enough, we're finding now that even when there are legitimate reasons like that why a child may not want to see a parent, now we're finding as parental alienation has become more familiar in the world, that it's being used falsely to explain why a child may not want to see a parent. And that's very important to identify, because it would be a terrible disservice to that child to discount what they have to say when it's legitimate. So that's very important. So neglect, lack of attachment, and other more clear cases where there really has been a lot of abuse by that parent, that child, when there's been a lot of it, will be afraid to see that parent. We don't see that very often because it takes a lot of abuse to turn a child away from a parent. But those cases do occur. And when there's been a parent, say, that's not been much in the child's life, but when they are in the child's life, they're abusive and difficult, then that child very likely will express fear, especially if they're young enough, at seeing that parent alone. So there are cases where it's quite legitimate. So a big process of ruling out what the reasons are to be able to find the real source of it is a very important part of this whole process to determine if alienation is present. In fact, the 4 criteria that were discussed earlier really are, I think, a pretty reliable roadmap to be able to help at the first pass of the field to be able to see if, in fact, that may be what's going on. Because one of the hallmarks you'll see in real parental alienation cases is a dramatic change in the relationship, pre-separation and post-separation. So, for example, if a child has an attachment problem in that they've never really developed a relationship with that parent because that parent's never gotten down on the floor with them, so to speak, or been much in their lives involved in any way, what we see in that situation is pre-separation, not much of a very strong relationship. So when there's not much of a relationship after the separation, that's not a big change. However, in an alienation case like we're talking about, there will be a strong, close relationship, and then there'll be a dramatic change. That's one of the hallmarks that we really look for, is the change in the relationship from before.